All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Patriots First and Goal. I am so sorry that we are on video now, and you're not only forced to listen to me, you are now forced to look at me. But I guess the price of genius and expertise is you move on up in the world, right, Rich Hill? So here we are, live and in charge.
Yep, absolutely. And hey, you got a pretty face, Alec. It's all right. It's all right. I'm glad to be able to see you. For everyone who has listened to us for a while, we always go camera off when Alec and I talk just because we can't stand to look at each other.
True.
But, you know, it's been a long summer. Maybe we can look at each other once or twice before we go camera off for the rest of this.
And we unintentionally color matched our shirts today. So we're off to a great start visually, Rich Hill.
Yeah, one of us has to change.
That's right. Good to be chatting with you, man. I'm excited to break down 2023 and beyond. 2022 was kind of rough. You and I had to slog through more than one podcast and more than one appearance, and we can kind of turn the page on that and get right into training camp. It's underway. It's in full swing. Let's get to it, Rich. It is first down. Training camp overview, overall vibes. How are you feeling as a fan, as a wannabe sports writer, analyst? Do you feel good about the Patriots at this early juncture in the season?
Honestly, I feel pretty good. I think way better than we did last year. I feel like if I just remember where we were at this point last year with Matt Patricia leading the offense, all of the reports were just, this feels disjointed, feels like the Patriots players aren't on the same page. You know, the defense is solid, but what the heck is going on offense? And I think every single report that I've read about the Patriots offense so far this year has been, hey, they're improving. Hey, they might not be good just yet, but there's optimism. And that is all I need right now. I think going back to the earliest Bill Belichick team, I don't need them to be a polished unit, during the preseason by any means. This is a team that always figures out its identity over the first quarter of the season, hones in on it for the next 4 games, and then finishes the second half of the season really strongly. I think if they're laying the groundwork and the players are feeling as enthusiastic about the offense's potential right now, I'm sold. I'm already in. This is going to be a great defense. The defense is really showing up in a very high way. If the offense can be average, this is a playoff team. If they can be a top 10 offense, this team can go all the way.
All the way is a bold statement, and I like it. I think Sports Illustrated made the Patriots one of 12 teams that could win a Super Bowl this year. Take that for what it's worth, but they can't do any worse than last year. And it's fun to think that as down a season as last year was, it was like a Jacoby Myers brain fart, a Ramondre Stevenson goal line fumble, and a Hunter Henry non-catch away from like 12 wins, possibly, So even in that down year, they're still like a couple of weird plays away. And as a revamped offense, like you said, I really like the potential they're going to have. They're running the ball a lot. There are a lot of 11-on-11 running plays being run in the practices right now. So hopefully that means they get back to the 2021 unit that just ran the ball a lot. Mac Jones didn't have to go nuts. They just ground them down, allowed the defense to keep them close, and that's where it seems to be. So, and the fans seem really happy. There seems to be really good energy at Patriots Place. Bill O'Brien is doing his thing. Yeah, so overall, I mean, we're all pretty excited as fans. I don't think there's any fan that's going to training camp being like, oh, God, terrible, season's over. However, given just the overall vibe last year, when we were all kind of spinning, they'll figure it out. This is what preseason's for. Yep. Now our blatant fan hypocrisy can be used on other things, like trying to justify keeping Jack Jones on the field, even though he's in trouble for bringing a gun on a plane. So I'm glad to get back to my roots with my sports hypocrisy.
Totally. And like, I'm looking forward to the team being boring for all the good reasons. I think that I could not stand watching the team last year because they were uninterestingly bad. It was like here's 2 runs up the middle and here's a failed 3rd and long that was going to go nowhere because the play was drawn so poorly. I'm looking forward to this team playing mistake-free football, which it sounds like by all accounts, the players are saying this is what is being reinforced. Juju Smith-Schuster is just out there saying all the right things, saying, it's just about making sure that we're not the ones beating ourselves. And that is what is the case every year that the Patriots are successful, to everything that you said about last year where the Patriots were making completely uncharacteristic mistakes. They clean that up. They play their typical mistake-free football. This is a playoff team. And I think that they have, high upside based off of what this offense could potentially become. All we need is Mac Jones to develop a rapport with a couple players, and they're going to go do just great. this is a team that I want to be boring for all of the good reasons. And I feel very hopeful at this stage of the preseason that they're heading that way.
You say the word boring, Rich. I think a word we used a lot on the Pat's Pulpit podcast was unsexy. But boring for the right reasons, I think, is what you want to see. You want a really efficient offense and a stifling defense. However, Rich Hill, that's a great transition into second down, into second and goal. Let's stop being boring. Let's get excited.
Yep.
What about training camp 2023 are you most excited to see? What are you looking for the most? Is there a particular maybe training camp battle you're excited about? Is there a particular player you're most excited about? What's like the one thing that really excites you the most about training camp so far?
I absolutely cannot wait. Simply cannot wait for my heart to be broken by Demario Douglas. I am so much looking forward to him being okay during the first couple of preseason games, and then to go 150 yards and 2 scores in the third one, and then to be the next coming of Brian Timms, and for not much to happen, because that's how jaded I am. But I am so excited about all the reports coming out of camp where he was touted. He's a 6th round pick. There was not a lot of expectations heated on him, but a lot of the draft picks that looked at his draft profile, that were reviewing the tape around him, he's got quickness. He's got that NFL ability with his hands. He seems like he's fitting in. He's developing a good rapport with Mac Jones. He's settling in as one of those top options. I know that as it relates to the top team wide receivers, they've kind of been in and out of camp, but Douglas is making the most of his opportunities. He has that inside track to be that last wide receiver on the roster. And I feel like it would just be the truest Patriots thing to have invested a 2nd round pick in Tyquan Thornton last year, for him to flame out, not even make the roster this year, and for Demario Douglas, a 6th round, who knows, to make the team and become a 500-yard receiver as a rookie.
Oh, sweet, innocent Rich Hill. You just will not learn, will you? How many receivers do I need to rattle off right now that everyone was in love with in the preseason that did nothing? How many names do you need before you come around?
It's an annual treat. Let's be honest. It's an annual festivity.
Well, I will say this to your credit and defense. He's lining up with the ones. He looks great. He's doing punt and kick returns. They got him on jet sweeps. Seems like a gadget player. So there's that. And there's also like an undrafted guy we were really excited about who's outplaying N'Keal Harry a couple of years ago named Jacoby Myers. So it does happen. But excuse me for not doing it this year. This is the year I do not get excited about a wide receiver in the preseason. You heard it here first. Cut to next week when I can't wait to see somebody out there. But I am not going to get too excited. Here's how boring I am as a fan. When I'm really excited to see and excited to continue to watch, just like the linebacker depth, I feel like a defense, they're pretty well set at their top tier positions, but like who's behind the starters? I really don't know who's going to shake out in those 2-3 roles along the defensive line, along the linebacking core, what kind of base cornerback unit they're going to do. I'm really very curious what their base, that big nickel, they're going back to the 3-4. Who's kind of like the second tier guys that are going to be rotating in various packages. I think that's where a lot of the good competition is going to happen. Beyond the starters, beyond the guys we know who are going to be out there day one, blue chip guys. There's a lot of really good talent at the second level that will be contributors. And I really want to see who's going to develop in that respect.
Totally, because you can pencil Juwan Bentley in at that middle linebacker spot, but some player who has been standing out is rookie Marte Mapu, who's 3rd round out of Sacramento State, is that he plugged in with the ones and was leading the 2-minute drill on defense. And he's got I don't even know what type of player we'd compare him to, like a peak Jamie Collins type of athleticism and just thumper ability, where he's able to cover and rush and just stick his own in the middle, even though he's a little bit on the lighter side. And that frees up some other players. Jelani Tavai is playing a little bit of fullback now just because the team doesn't have one on the roster, but they have some solid depth, as you said. I feel like this team just recharged on defense. They lost Devin McCourty. That was the big loss. They're going to have to find a way to replace him. But this team will and did need to improve their defensive front. They needed to be more consistent against the run. And I think that they got stouter up front with regards to drafting Mapu, with drafting Keon White, who's had a good camp as well. They have some good talent that will continue to develop within the roster. Christian Barmore showed up really well last year, and he's going to continue to develop. I think that this is going to be a very strong defensive front. And overall, I've already said at the beginning of this podcast, I have really high hopes for this defense to be able to replicate what it did last year. And I see no reason why they can't do another top 5, top 3 type of performance this year.
They're going to need it, man, because it is an absolute murderer's row, the Patriots schedule. Hi, this is Alec from Pats Nation Network, and I'm here to tell you about FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets, up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think's going to hit the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/Boston to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/Boston. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. I was looking at just the conferences. It's amazing to me how much more stacked the AFC is than the NFC. It's just like they should make like a separate playoff for like the AFC and the NFC. It's just like, it's crazy. It's basically the Niners and the Eagles, and then nobody in the NFC, more or less.
And who's the Niners quarterback, right?
Yeah, I'm like, who's the Niners quarterback? It's true. And you've got just like the AFC East alone is going to be really hard to get out of. So that defense is really going to need to pick up right where they left off. You've talked earlier how the Patriots always kind of figure out who they are the first 4 weeks of the season. They may not have that luxury this year because they could easily go like 1-3 and be in a huge hole coming out of it. But the defense does look to pick up where they left off, like you said. The offense is light years ahead of where they were this time last year. So again, a lot of reasons to be excited about that. And I think even though boring is the name of the game, I agree, but being excited is also important. That is second down. We'll get to third down right after this quick break from our sponsor. All right, Rich, 3rd and goal. Here we go. What is the biggest surprise to you so far in training camp? The biggest surprise to me is that you're excited about a Patriots receiver no one's heard of. However, I will give you the benefit of the doubt here. What's the biggest kind of like, didn't see that coming? Who's the guy that's standing out to you? What are you kind of really, really surprised about?
Yeah, I mean, I think the areas where I've been expectedly happy with Christian Gonzalez slotting in with the ones as expected, playing as well as expected, doing a great job, going down to like the special teams unit, Bryce Behringer, doing well. Chad Ryland doing well. Like all the players that the Patriots drafted with like a specific role in mind, they're plugging into them and they're doing well. So like I'm happy that there's no real surprises on those fronts. I think that for me, honestly, it's been not even like the mix of the Hunter Henry reemergence. He had a quiet year last year. He had a solid first year, and there was like a lot of hopes for him. It seems like he and Mac Jones are money all camp. I'm very excited to see what that will bring. I'm obviously not expecting like a 2011 Gronk kind of a season, but if Hunter Henry can go out there and get 800 yards and 8 scores, that's great. Light years ahead of what they needed out of their tight ends last year. My other corollary surprise is that Mike Gesicki has been pretty quiet. We haven't seen a lot out of him. He was someone that I also have high hopes for. We just haven't seen it materialize thus far in camp to a consistent level. I know that he's been starting to score a little bit in those red zone drills where he'll likely get a lot of play as that big target that the team has really needed. But I would say that the relative emergence of Hunter Henry and the relative quiet of Gesicki is really throwing me a little bit because I was expecting both of them to at least show up in a B grade kind of a thing. I wasn't expecting there to be a split AC sort of a thing.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of red zone work in the early days of camp, too. A lot of red zone plays, a lot of red zone packages, and a lot of quietness from those. Again, I think Gesicki's not really a tight end. We talked about this in the offseason a lot. He's really more of a move receiver, but he is a red zone target, and he is going to be one of the guys that's getting the touches there because there's not a lot of size height-wise in the Patriots receiver room. So there's got to be somebody who go up and get those 50-50 balls. Speaking of receivers, my biggest surprise so far in camp is how little I've kind of shaken out the running back room and whose role is going to be what. Stevenson's obviously your #1 guy. He's getting a much lighter work in training camp because they know where he's going to be. He's going to be the workhorse. But after Stevenson, who's the #2 back? I have no idea who that's going to be. Who's going to be the Deion Lewis, Kevin Falk, Shane Vereen receiving back? I have no idea. Is Ezekiel Elliott going to be a Patriot?
Yeah,
I have no idea. So I thought that one of the most solid rooms on the roster, it still is, but I don't really understand how they plan on utilizing all their backs and what kind of the depth chart is at running back. And I thought I have a better sense of that by now, but I just don't.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that there wouldn't be a surprise that both Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, like they have veteran running backs that could come in and be a very strong number 2 to Ramondre. And I think right now there's no need to bring in that veteran if they're trying to figure out, is it going to be Pierre Strong? It's going to be Kevin Harris. They've been okay. I know Harris has gotten stuffed at the goal line a few times. Pierre Strong has shown up well enough. To your point, I don't think either Cook or Elliott would replace that James White type role that the team really needs. Montgomery has been the guy. He's been one of those safety blanket guys, but I would say that what the Patriots are doing, which is a good choice, let the young guys play. There's no need to bring in an Ezekiel Elliott or a Dalvin Cook at this point while you're still giving those young players repetitions. You want to let them play in those live preseason games. Maybe after the first game, second game, you say, okay, this isn't it. And then you bring in one of those veterans. And I wouldn't be upset about that. I would expect those veterans to also be, willing to wait on that front. And also, like, you don't need to give them that much time in camp. Like they've played it before. They're do-it-all backs. They would be able to plug in as a nice number 2 to Ramondre. And so long as Stevenson's okay, I'm not worried about that room.
I'm not worried either. But again, I think one of the biggest kind of underspoken or less talked about storylines that really plagued the Patriots last year was Ty Montgomery going down. Yep. And they had no third down back.
Yep.
Not one. And in the entire Bill Belichick tenure in New England, from Kevin Falk to Shane Vereen to Deion Lewis to James White to Rex Burkhead to Brandon, they always had somebody back there in that third down back role picking up blitzes, outright receiver. They didn't have that. They need that. That's part of the Belichick offense. So hopefully they figure that out. I think they will, but I just don't know who that's going to be. And especially with the limiting of the full pad practices, the contact getting limited now, you don't want guys getting hurt, and the running backs are the ones that are going to be getting pounded on the most. So I'm totally fine with the lack of reps. I just really hope we'll see some interesting packages and guys catching passes out of the backfield, particularly with the first preseason game happening a week from today, Rich Hill, I believe. It's 4th and goal. Let's really, really early. First preseason game coming up. Let's not really get too deep into it because it's the preseason. However, and we'll do a much more full breakdown on our next week's podcast, getting into the actual game itself. We have more training camp to get into. But, we're coming into these last few practices before an actual full pads game against another team. What do you want to see in this first preseason game besides nobody getting hurt?
Yeah, totally. So Patriots hosting the Texans next Thursday at 7 p.m. The offensive line, we're going to go with the unsexy sort of pick here, but they're pretty banged up. Trent Brown, not really been practicing, been in and out of it. Michael Onwenu on the pup, Cole Strange dealing with his injury. This is a unit that is already in a bad spot. They were struggling a lot. Riley Reif was there to play a little bit on the right tackle, but due to the challenges with Trent Brown kind of being in and out of it, they've swung him over to the left side a little bit more. They've just been testing them all over the line. Like, this is a unit that is not anywhere near ready for the regular season due to the injuries to all the starters. They plugged in our fan favorite Bill Murray a little bit there, and he hasn't been too hot, but he was like the next man up behind Michael Onwenu at right guard. I don't have a lot of hopes for this unit, and I do think that the offensive line is one of the most important units of any part of the roster because they will only go as far on offense as the offensive line can take them. Mac Jones can be a superhero and he will still struggle if that offensive line is a sieve. And so I would love to see some sort of a consistent production from this offensive line. I would love to see some semblance of a starting unit. And also, as you said, no more injuries. I would love for there to be, here is our 5 and we'll feel comfortable moving forward with them. But right at this point, I don't think we're there.
No, we're not. What I like about the preseason with the offensive line is you get a lot of different formations in there. They really swap guys out a lot. It's really important that unit plays so cohesively. And it's a good chance for the depth guys to see who could be, my point earlier about the linebacker depth, who's going to be the guy that steps in when someone goes down, because someone's going to go down. It happens every single year. There's nothing you can really do about it. Someone I haven't talked about all preseason, I haven't really heard much about him. People were kind of excited about what he brings to the table. Maybe as a Julian Edelman kind of quarterback conversion. The Patriots have been using him as a receiver.
Yep.
He'll probably get some time, maybe under center. Malik Cunningham, Rich Hill, you see him getting some late snaps at quarterback, or is he just going to be like one of those weird gadget receivers who gets practice squatted and we never hear from again?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, they gave him enough guaranteed money that he does have a fair shot at the roster. They're using him as a gunner. His path to the roster is through special teams and as that emergency, backup quarterback thing. Is he going to outplay Trace McSorley? Possibly. McSorley has that Bill O'Brien alignment. He could be that Brian Hoyer-esque. He just knows the offense so well that he's going to be there to impart his wisdom on the others as they're continuing to pick it up. But I think Malik Cunningham's pathway is through special teams, same way it was for Edelman back in 2009 than it was when he was a rookie. So I think he does have a clear path as a gunner on it. I think that he has been doing well. He's been standing out for it as a gunner. And I believe he also has been doing well enough as a receiver that he beat Christian Gonzalez. He won both of his one-on-one reps on Thursday. So I don't know. There's definitely a lot of potential there. He is one of those players, just like a Julian Edelman, where he was so productive in college that there's some spot for him in the NFL. And I think it's worth seeing if he can do it with the team. And, as you said, preseason's the time to test him in all those different spots, see if he can make it.
No, it is. And we won't have to wait much longer. It's kind of fun that there's going to be a football game a week starting next week until hopefully late January. Playoffs, I think, are a minimum this year for the Patriots. They need to win a playoff game this year. I think that is the expectation for this team, which is going to be hard to do just given the AFC East and the AFC as a whole. But again, off to a great start with training camp. Rich Hill, this is our first kind of live stream podcast hybrid video thing. Any final preseason thoughts as we also get into our midseason form?
Yeah, as I say, do you remember back in 2014, I believe was when we did our original ones on YouTube? Back in it was like the very, very first iterations of the Pat's Pulpit podcast. Technology has advanced a lot. I feel like it used to be just like, whoa, you can get multiple videos in on the same thing. This is very smooth. So excited to do more of these with you.
Yeah, I mean, technology's come a long way, and we haven't. So I don't know what the hell's wrong with us. But hopefully this worked out well, and you all had some fun with it, and it all recorded effectively, so we can get this up. Otherwise, we just wasted our time, Rich. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. I can't wait to come back and just make random references to the early 2010 Patriots with you. All right. Well, Alec, thanks so much, and until next time, you have a good one.
You too, buddy. See ya.